So we've got on the line right now Rachel Holt with Uber DC. She's their spokesperson. Rachel, thanks for joining us here on Mornings on the Mall. So you were caught off guard by this? You were surprised?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Uber is a mobile app. We've been operating in D.C., Maryland, Virginia for almost 3 years now, since late 2011. And, we've been in talks with the Virginia DMV for a few months now, really about the Uber platform, about UberX, which is our new low-cost option, which has been wildly popular in Virginia, and really trying to understand their concerns, educate them about the product. And then we were caught pretty off guard yesterday by a cease and desist order.
Well, and that's right.
Virginia.
Cease and desist. Will you cease and desist, or will you continue to operate?
It is business as usual.
You're ignoring it then?
Well, I think what we hope is that we can, reopen the dialogue and understand what their concerns are and address those concerns.
All right. You're going all Patrick Henry on them, and that's good. It's Virginia. You might as well. But Rachel Holt, what do you say to some of the critics? Now, we actually had an operator of a taxi cab company earlier this morning as we talked about it. They said, listen, Virginia isn't really telling you to cease and desist because they just want you to pay a fee. You just need to pay and register. Is that something like a $35,000? Is that a fee or is it a fine or what is it?
No, those are two separate issues. So Virginia did fine Uber $26,000 earlier this year, and we are appealing those fines, and that's part of our conversations with the DMV is to understand what their concerns are around those fines. But I think, one of the things I think that's important to understand is that when you look at the product that's being offered through the Uber platform, it is insured nearly 3 times more than is mandated by Virginia. Drivers, 100% of drivers on the Uber system are background checked in an incredibly stringent way. There aren't background checks required for all for-hire drivers in Virginia. I mean, this is just fundamentally, a safer, more affordable product than has been offered before, and that doesn't sound like it should be banned.
Well, so where did this come from? I mean, this sounds like if you're caught off guard by this, and I know that you stay in touch with Virginia DMV officials, where do you think this is coming from? Where did it originate?
I think we're trying to understand that, and we hope that, through conversations, and hearing hearing the concerns of consumers and partners of the product, that we're going to kind of get more information about that. I think that whenever you're doing something that's new and different, these laws and these rules were created at a time before the smartphone, before the GPS, before a system like Uber was even contemplated. And I think, when you're doing something new, there are people who, react differently to that. And what we're hoping is that Virginia takes a stand similar to where D.C. is right now, which is, hey, let's take a look at what makes sense, what rules make sense, and let's sit down and come up with a structure that ensures that our consumers and residents are protected. And I think that's what we're seeing, the process right now in D.C., and there's a great bill right now that Councilmember Che and Councilmember Grasso introduced that does exactly that. It takes a look at, finding solutions that are in the best interest of consumers, in the best interest of safety, rather than saying, hey, we need to put this into, a construct that was developed, 20, 30 years ago.
Our guest is Rachel Holt. She's spokesperson for Uber DC, and we're talking about this ruling in Virginia where the DMV sent a cease and desist to Uber. Rachel, a lot of questions have been raised about UberX, and there have been issues. UberX is where amateurs basically can become Uber drivers. You've got a car, you can give somebody a lift. This isn't like the traditional Uber that everyone learned about when you first hit the market, which was like a black sedan that resembled sort of like a car you would pick up at the airport outside of a medallion cab. So talk to me about UberX and how that is making people a little concerned because it's just citizens who haven't had training, that kind of thing.
Well, I think again, some of the specifics are really important to understand here, right? So,
do you make them have insurance? Do you make them keep their cars in line? What kind of controls do you have over their behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. So, any ride that happens on the UberX platform is insured up to $1 million per incident, right? That is literally 3 times more than is mandated by the Virginia DMV, which is $350,000. In addition, there's background checks that are incredibly stringent, way more stringent than you see really in any jurisdiction. And in Virginia, actually, for-hire drivers aren't required to be background checked. So any driver on the Uber platform is passing way more rigorous standards than what you see as kind of the minimum or the mandates from the DMV. And so I think, while of course it's new, what we're seeing is that the safety checks,
right,
that what's required on UberX is just a standard that's well above what's required for hired drivers.
All right, Rachel, so very quickly, we're out of
Yeah.
time. You are business as usual. You are ignoring the cease and desist letter, right?
Well, I mean, what we hope is that we're going to be able to talk to the DMV over the next couple of days and understand their concerns. But absolutely, citizens and residents.
And if a driver is fine, what happens?
Uber is certainly going to stand by our partners
All
and
right.
going to work to cover any kind of fines if that's the case.
All right, we got to leave it right there. Thank you, Rachel Holt with Uber. We appreciate it.
Thank you.